Well, yesterday we ran the very early Mamod T1 from 63. So I'm doing some work in the kitchen today, some redecorating. So in between sorting out some paint and so on, I thought I'd give this one a little run in the kitchen as well. Now this is Mamod's first ever mobile. This is a 1961 SR1. And this particular engine, like its early version of the brother of the T1, has a lot of features which were or have been gradually lost over the years. So, for instance, we see straight away that a screw construction, or nut and bolt, whatever. We've got screws on the firebox here, and in here, and in here. Like the T1, and the whole smoke box is screwed onto the front. Unlike the T1, this one's got a proper exhaust pipe going into the chimney. Also, the engine itself has aluminium cast rolls, front and back. We've got these curious, nice little domed hubcaps. They've got the engine frame, which is exactly the same as the, as you see it there, exactly the same as the T1, so it's a triangulated sort of section. What sets the very early SR1s apart from later versions is this curious one-piece, I'll bring it out to the camera, one-piece scuttle and burner. The burner is one of these pressed brass type ones. By this time I would have thought the soldered sort of mini SE3 size ones had disappeared. You'll also notice the back of the scuttle has no tow hook. That's because this part of the burner is got a blind rivet inside there. You can actually see that. This sets these apart. These are difficult to get hold of. Someone said to me once, that can't be right, it's got no tow hook, and I said, don't talk nonsense, essentially, because if you know your stuff, that burner means that the handle on the latest steel type ones, which projected through there and acted as the tow hook, it's not there. This particular engine also has a number of other features. It's got one of these annoying one-armed, you can just see that, overflow plugs, which are quite difficult to get on. Whether it was an economy measure, who can say. Also, the engine itself, I just picked this one up, you see it's got Birmingham written on the front of the smoke box. That sort of was there on all of them up until, I think, basically about 1967. By which time they'd moved to Brierley Hill. Mayland's engineers had moved to Brierley Hill, which is in Staffordshire, so it was no longer essentially in Birmingham, so that was dropped, but they probably had a whole stack of these made, so they gradually changed the casting over a period of time. This particular engine also has, we were talking about yesterday, a nice brass crank with the embossed Mamod name on it. It's got a later type of cod connection as opposed to the forged eyelet type end. But apart from that, again, like the T yesterday, it's entirely in original condition, so it hasn't been messed around with or painted or polished, so it's got the original apple green paint. It's got this curious, very thin layer of red paint on the wheels, which always gives this sort of concentric sort of wear pattern on there. Very, very thin paint, so it's got no primer under there at all. So again, like the early TEs, these early SR1s fetch very, very good prices now. I should say also that this one doesn't have screws on the engine frame. It's got brass rivets again, smaller crankshaft diameter as well. But overall, I say still a very, very collectible and desirable little engine. And you know, they still turn up now. Obviously the engine is still in production today, the SR1A. It became bi-directional in 1967 with the addition of a forward and reverse lever on there. Initially it was a straight lever, but then it took on the characteristic bent L-shape version sometime sort of towards the late 60s. So overall there you have it, an original SR1. This one's been well oiled, and this one gets maybe a run out once or twice a year, and I'm hoping this one's going to run a little bit better than the rather sort of temperamental TE1 yesterday. So yeah, if you can actually get your hands on one of these, I would say snap it up, because they are quite collectible, and they do tend to hold their value, and I'd say it's certainly an engine which is very much got a charm all of its own. It was very much an instant bestseller when it first appeared in 1961. It was built. It came in right at the end of production, more or less, at the Camden Street factory, from which was vacated in something like 1962, spring '62. So this one could well have been built at the old Camden Street factory. I say it's a lovely engine. It does steam quite well. I seem to remember last time scuffles along the floor pretty fast. But to say today we're going to run it on this little mechanical rolling road again as we did yesterday with the TE, and we'll see how this one performs. So I'm just going to charge the boiler, fill the lamp, and the next video, fingers crossed, this little fellow will be steaming enthusiastically.